So let's talk about my time with the Nikon ZR and my opinions on it. That being said, I am a Nikon creator, and Nikon was kind enough to go ahead and send me out a loaner that I could use for about 3 months before I had to send it back over to Nikon. That being said, I think I've said their name about enough times. Be completely honest with you, everything you hear and see in this video is my opinion alone. It's not being pre-approved by anyone or seen by anyone else before you did. So let's get started. All the footage you're gonna see in here is either myself talking or you see B-roll, and I will be wearing different things because the B-roll is taken again over the last 3 months, whether it's a vacation, I don't think there's any snow videos I got, or footage of myself or other people. So that being said, let's talk about this camera. There were some things about the camera that I did not enjoy. First thing, the grip on the camera is actually really shallow. So if you have bigger hands, this camera, it can be handheld, but it's not entirely comfortable for me. I feel like I'm gonna drop it half the time. But that being said, outside of the grip, the camera itself did fit into the palm of my hand, which is absolutely astounding and amazing. But when we're talking about ergonomics, I do not like the fact that there wasn't a eyepiece on top of the camera. As someone who started this entire journey doing photography first before I went over to video, I find myself often fighting for frame and trying to understand what I'm looking at by looking through the eyepiece in the viewfinder so I know exactly what's going on. Missing that kind of felt like it was a little empty to me sometimes, but it did make up for the fact with the fact that the screen was so huge. Having a 4-inch flip out screen, it's something that we can talk about all day, but if you have an external monitor on your DSLR, you understand that they usually come in about 5 inches. Having 4 inches of real estate so you can see everything clearly, it's not only wonderful for you because you don't feel like you need external monitor, for one, but for two, it's kind of distracting sometimes using it like a creator like I am. Like right now, I'm trying to make sure I don't look at the monitor above my camera, right? But when the monitor's just to the side, it's really easy to take a quick glance and start watching yourself on the screen because it's such great quality and it's so beautiful and it's so nice to see while still being a lightweight frame, right? This is a camera that I mentioned the grip isn't great on the camera body itself, and you know, the micro HDMI, it's not the end of the world with that because it's just one different cord as opposed to the full HDMI that I have. Something else I didn't necessarily enjoy about this camera, I love using the red Codec, which is probably why you're here to talk about. It gave me some really pretty images that were fantastic to use, but the file sizes were absolutely huge. So if you know what I'm talking about, using a 325 gigabyte CF Express card like this only bought me about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on what type of codec you're using, but especially when you're filming with Red. And that's when I'm using the Red NE, I believe it's called 12-bit 4K, not including 6K. Once you get to 6K, things get a little crazy over there. What else can we possibly say? When working with the Nikon ZR, you can trust the codecs of H.264 for sure, ProRes RAW, the N-RAW of course, and the Red NE. But the problem I had was with H.265, 8-bit and 10-bit. For some reason, when I was looking at these codecs, the sharpness of the camera for some reason felt like it was a soft focus for some reason. I don't know what it was in particular, but I did look up other people and their opinions to see if anybody else was having the same experience as I was, and it's something particular, and I think that's something that can be easily fixed with a firmware update. Speaking of firmware updates, Nikon sent me this camera with it being the very first firmware, so 1.0000, whatever that means, the very first one, and I did not update this camera despite the fact that I knew the updates were available because I wanted to see what it was like fresh out the box without any updates. There are a few things that were missing with that were addressed in the first update, but something I think is that can be addressed in future firmware updates. One, the file sizes when using Red. Do you need to use Red all the time? No. If you guys don't know what you're getting with Red RAW, you have the ability to go back through your footage at any point in time, and you can change the functions and features like your ISO, for example, which you can fix as if you're still in camera, right? Or you can fix your white balance as opposed to doing it in post. You can do it as if you're still sitting there in camera, which is why the file sizes are huge. If for some reason, in some way, Nikon can possibly compress these file sizes by another, 5 to 10%, so it's not eating up all your storage, that is fantastic. And from my understanding, what I saw on social media here recently, I think they are looking into that. They're also going to address the H.265 thing because that H.265 and 10-bit is an absolutely perfect codec for majority of what people need, especially content creators. Most people don't need to jump into Red RAW as a content creator. It's not something that you need to necessarily do. most content creators don't even know how to color grade, right? So they may go as far as understanding how to use something like you know, C log, D log, S log, N log, and then having some type of conversion or like a LUT pack and putting that onto your stuff and then having a really nice look and like maybe do some little touch-ups like that. But color grading from scratch is not something majority of people can do. And I believe that using red, and the Nikon also has the ability to have those red LUTs, right? So you have the pure red colors and using those as a stepping stone for whatever you're trying to do. That's amazing. I'm all over the place with this, but that's fine. And you know what? I'm saying that because I'm kind of ranting and rambling. That's what I like to do with these videos. There is something I want to say about the functionality of the microphones, the internal microphones on the ZR. You can actually change the direction with them, but I had a nice little rant about this while I was out in a cabin out in Oklahoma. Let's go ahead and roll some of that footage first before I come back. Hey everybody, I'm out here in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. I'm about to actually go out with the Nikon ZR here and go grab some footage of the just, you know, wonderful trees and the environment that's behind me. Something I want to note that this does have the options of the 5 different options with the microphone. However, something I'm noticing is that it's locked behind either H.264 or H.265, either 8-bit or 10-bit. Once we get over to, you know, ProRes HQ, ProRes RAW, you know, Red, and the N-RAW 12-bit, you can't use the internal microphone with those 5 options of changing where it's focusing on. So you have the option of doing, I believe it's front directional, like it's front priority, behind the camera, all around, and then just kind of auto, right? And the thing is, when you're using this feature, it's actually really nice. I tested it yesterday when I was out and about, using just the not front priority. It was pretty solid. It was like really solid. Not using an additional microphone whatsoever was fantastic, and as a creator makes it wonderful. The thing was, not being able to use that functionality with the microphone and changing where it's facing and prioritizing in the you know, higher range of 10-bit, because you can do H.265 10-bit with it as well, which, do note, I don't love the H.265. it feels kind of off to me, and like it's softer than the rest. Like the focus on everything else seems like it's a little bit crisper, a little cleaner. H.265 for some reason just feels softer. I don't know if it's a me thing, but I feel like that's just something you can easily fix with like a como se dice in English, a software update, right? That's something you can fix really easily. I do think this is a camera that really benefits from being rigged out to a complete, like, all 9 yards, right? So I'm like cage, microphone. If you want another monitor, probably another monitor. You can take the side LCD when they come out, because I don't know how many rigs there are available for the ZR just yet, because there's a new camera. Take that LCD screen and put it to the side, so it's like a true cine camera, especially with like a cine back. Oh man, that would be absolutely fantastic. Worried is the fact there's no internal cooling system, which I got to see another creator take this camera out to the Arctic, and he made some beautiful footage, some great video with that. But I live in the state of Texas, and the state of Texas in the summer, it gets really hot, and I do a ton of work during the summer, right? Talking like, you know, upwards of 85 plus on a low day to 90 something, 100 something degrees in Texas in the summer, easily. And some of those days I'm out and about with my camera, and I worry about this camera shutting off on me, because I do understand that with the heat index being a big thing for a lot of red cameras in the past. That's the one thing about this camera that makes me kind of worried, right? Is does the ability to cool itself off in the right environments, you know, that's kind of something that worries me a little bit. I do wish the camera was priced a little bit differently, maybe like $2,300 to $2,500 with internal cooling. That is, yeah, absolutely 10 out of 10 every time. That being said, that is one of the only gripes I have with this camera, is that the internal cooling. But I'm at the point of, do I trust a Nikon ZR to get the footage that I want and get the shots that I want and do it on a consistent basis? Yes. Do I trust the internal focus on this camera, or like autofocus on this camera? Yes. Do I trust this camera enough to the...
Camera is a device used to capture and store images or videos. It helps you preserve memories and record moments in still or moving formats.
Do you hear that?
Cameras come in many types.
Alexa.
Smartphones to advanced digital models.
I didn't even say... I'm sorry. let's just start over. That was weird because I didn't say the word that usually says to get its attention. I didn't say anything. It just did. That was weird. Let me go back to that. Just threw me off. Hold on. Wait a minute. I'm so sorry. Okay, so like I was saying, I trust this camera to the point where with the right lens combinations, I'd be more than willing to sell my A7S III paired with the G Master 24-70 Mark II. I'd be willing to sell that camera and that lens combination off so I can go buy a Nikon ZR with another 24-70, maybe like a Sigma or something, so it's not as expensive. Here's the thing, I've used a Nikon native 24-70 lens and it's gorgeous. It's even like, I'm just smiling thinking about it, but I don't know if like the amount of money I'd save by selling everything and that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. In addition to that, there was something I did want to talk about, the Z cinema lenses that should be coming out. I saw a preview of them over on social media, over on Instagram. Go check out the Nikon USA over there. I saw a preview of these lenses and they looked gorgeous. And if you looked really closely, because I'm this big of a nerd, I slowed down the video and paused it at certain points. The Z cinema lenses look like they may have a autofocus, manual focus toggle switch, which if they do, and the autofocus is reliable, I might be selling my camera. I'm just, to be honest, I actually might be selling my camera because that's ridiculous. That's just... The direction that Nikon's going in is they're trying to close the gap for prosumers and professionals, right? This is one of those cameras that put in the right hands with someone who is confident and they are patient enough to learn the camera, learn the systems, understand how to use it. You can easily integrate this into your workflow extremely easily, right? Make sure you toggle on the internal 32-bit float audio. Make sure that's turned on to take full advantage of that, because never being able to peak when you are even in loud environments or quiet environments and bend that audio the way you want to, fantastic. And doing that internally so it's ingrained into your footage, amazing. Having the ability to float between currently ProRes, N-RAW, Red, you can use H.265. Yes, the focus looks a little soft, but there's ways to sharpen that and fix that, clean it up in post so that nobody notices, unless someone's really looking at the very edges of your footage. Boo-hoo, right? And again, that can be addressed in a firmware update. And truth be told, it seems like Nikon is really listening to its creators. They understand the community, they know what we want, they know what we care about, and they are actively working to make this camera even better through firmware updates and the additional lenses and, you know, partnering with Red to make something like this happen is crazy. We're talking about a camera here that is a compact cinema camera priced around $21.99. That's insane. This is one of those cinema cameras that is definitely entry level that you can easily push on into the pro level. And I think don't be surprised in a few years, or either later this year, maybe next year, if this becomes like a Netflix approved, a Hulu approved camera. Because if we're talking about its competitor, the FX3, image quality alone, it's extremely close. It's extremely close, and that's the beauty of what we're talking about right now. That being said, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, please. Subscribe if you like videos like this. I'm making a ton more this year. I'm being more consistent this year. If there's anything I didn't mention, please be sure to let me know. If there's something that you wanted me to mention, please sure to let me know. What's your favorite part of the Nikon ZR? Do you have a Nikon ZR? Are you interested in it? And if you're interested in it, but you don't want to buy it just yet, I do recommend this as a camera. Go rent it out, see how it feels, and see if it works in your workflow. Rent it out, you know, test it out for a project or two. That being said, my name is Julian Bell, aka Mr. Nice Guy. And that's all I have for you for now. Until next time, peace. Bro, I messed up my own outro. I messed up my own outro. That's crazy.